Dr. Vanita Rattan. I'm a doctor, but I'm also a cosmetic formulator specifically for skin of colour. So today's video is an interesting one. It's products I love from brands I hate. And I'm going to discuss why this is important for skin of colour. For skin of colour, our skin is slightly different in that our melanocytes are larger and they are easier to trigger. These are the cells that produce the pigment melanin. This is why I always say one scratch, one bite or one burn and we hyperpigment. This does not happen to Caucasian skin, which is why actually skincare for skin of colour should be slightly different to what you might get away with on Caucasian skin. Now, unfortunately, the vast majority of skincare was not really designed for skin of colour. So I always tend to recommend safe products, meaning no denatured alcohol, no fragrance, and no essential oils. Primarily because denatured alcohol can dry the skin and we already have less ceramides in our skin than Caucasian skin. Fragrance and essential oils can lead to contact dermatitis, which leads to rashes, which leads to hyperpigmentation. So it's just never going to be my preference, and I'm always going to say sidestep it. Even if it's only 3 to 4% of the population that gets contact dermatitis from fragrance. If you imagine we've had, 40, 50 million people watch this channel so far, that's tens of thousands of people who could potentially get contact dermatitis if I was recommending products with fragrance in it, which is why I take my responsibility quite seriously and I only recommend safe. As you know, none of my videos have ever been sponsored and they will never be sponsored. This is purely a reference library for us, for our global skin of colour family, to see what we should be buying with our hard-earned money and what we should maybe avoid. Also, I have written a book for you, which we published with HarperCollins called Skin Revolution. And again, every product I've recommended in here is also non-sponsored. So please do get your hand on a copy if you haven't already. So we go through multiple different pathologies, what's happening with your skin through the decades, and then how you should treat it step by step. I'm also in the comment section for 1 hour at the launch of every single video, so you can come and ask me your questions. So make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so you know when to come. Also, I'm on Instagram. I've got 2 accounts, Skincare by Dr. V and Dr. Vanita Rattan. Also on TikTok, Dr. Vanita Rattan. And of course, our private Facebook group, a safe space for you to come and talk about skincare. It's called Dr. V Stock Family. So please do come and join. Right, without further ado, let's dive into the first product. The first one is from Body Shop. Now, Body Shop, I've done a whole video for you on. I highly recommend you watch it. I've gone through so many of their products and gone through the ingredients list to explain what's going on with each product. But a lot of them are not great because there's so much fragrance in them. They do tend to use a lot of denatured alcohol. It's not a brand that's been designed for skin of color. But there is one range and one product in particular that I love from the Body Shop, and that is their aloe mask. The reason is, number one, it's biodegradable. This is essential. And number 2 is that the ingredients are safe. So the first ingredient is water. The next one is glycerin. So that means it's a hydrating mask. In addition, there are soothers in there, so anti-inflammatories such as aloe and cucumber fruit extract, which is also important because for us throughout the day, our skin is under constant environmental assault, whether it's UV damage, pollution, cold air conditioning. All these things lead to free radicals in the skin, and free radicals are damaging. This is why we want antioxidants in our skincare. But also we want anti-inflammatories to calm and soothe the skin. So I do love this particular mask. I think it's great for if you have dry skin, if you have irritated skin, and also postmenopausal skin, because don't forget, postmenopause, you have a drop in estrogen, and so there's less humectants in the skin, less glucosaminoglycans, which means that basically the skin is much drier. It's actually masking and slugging, so using, for example, Vaseline petroleum jelly on the skin at night is a good thing for you to be doing. In addition, don't forget your collagen supplement. If you are from 21 years old plus, we start losing 1% collagen every year, and by the time you get to menopause, say about 50 years old, you're producing about 30% less collagen than you were at 20. So collagen is the scaffolding of the skin, and once you're not producing as much, you don't have as much strength in the skin, which is why it starts to feel like the skin is falling. So this is our collagen. It's called Collagen Boost, Dr. V Collagen Boost. So the link for this is down below. It's 8 grams of marine collagen, which has the highest bioavailability and designed for skin of color. So there's lots of vitamins in there specifically for our skin. The next brand is Garnier. Now, I've done a whole video for you on Garnier, but there are so many products in Garnier that say it's for sensitive skin. So for example, the Rose Water Botanical Day Cream says for sensitive skin, but again is loaded with fragrance. This just doesn't make sense. If you're producing something for sensitive skin, it absolutely must not have fragrance in it. Otherwise, you really shouldn't be writing, you know, for sensitive skin. And this is also one of the downsides when it comes to marketing messages on packaging, because actually, you know, there's not that much regulation, to be honest, when it comes to skincare packaging. It's not medicine, you know, and so we don't even need to go through the same clinical trials that you need to do for medicines, and you can, you know, get away with a lot of claims, which is why this whole channel exists, to be honest. So there is, however, one product that I like from Garnier, and that is their Micellar Cleansing Water. It is NAF safe, it's effective. I purchase it myself and I would recommend it. I feel like with cosmetic formulators, we tend to have our own almost thumbprint. We have our own signature. Mainly, especially if you work for one brand. So for example, you know, with the Dr. Vanita Rattan brand, I will buy things in 50 kg drums. Like for example, I'll buy niacinamide in a 50 kg drum. I mean, I weigh 50 kg. It's like that's how big the drums are. And so then when you buy things in bulk, you tend to put it in everything because it's cost effective. So the ingredients that you pick tend to be ingredients that you love for everything. So when it comes to Garnier, for example, it's really surprising because all the other inky lists, you can see the signature of the cosmetic formulator, but this particular product is completely different. It's as if it's been made by a different formulator altogether. And I find that really interesting for them. I'm a bit of a geek, so that's that. All right, the next one also surprised me, and that's Olay. And Olay, I'm just not a big fan of. There's so much fragrance in Olay, and ingredients tend to not be in the therapeutic index. I think it's important to understand the economics of products that you buy in a drugstore. Let me break it down, because I didn't know this myself until I got into the industry. So I want you guys to understand exactly what's happening. When Olay, for example, a drugstore brand, sells their product to Walgreens or to Target or to any of these stores, they tend to have to give 50% margin to the store. Okay, so imagine that this product is, I don't know, £25 product, or call it a £30 product. £15 they automatically have to give to wherever they're selling. Sometimes even 60%, so it depends on what their terms are. So imagine that they've given £20 away out of the £30. They're left with a £10. In that £10, it takes £1 to make the actual packaging, so they bring it down to £9. It takes them about £1 for a formula like this that I'm about to tell you. You know, more expensive formula may cost £3 or £4, but this particular one's about £1. So they're left now with £8 plus all the other logistics. So big companies tend to have much bigger infrastructure, so now they're down to about £5. And then there's wastage and there's refunds, etc. So they're left with about £4 profit on a £30 product. But actually the cost of the actual product itself is quite small. I just think it's important to discuss this, because there's a reason why you tend to get better value on direct-to-consumer products directly from a D2C company rather than going through a middleman like Walgreens and Sephora, etc. I'm going to do a full video for you, talking to you about the logistics and the economics of selling D2C, like direct to consumer, like we do on Skincare by Dr. V, or I believe Face Theory sells direct to consumer. I believe Paula's Choice for a very long time was direct to consumer. There's a lot of brands that only sell direct to consumer. And so they can afford to spend more on ingredients and product formulas than if you're going through retail, who just, you know, it becomes a lot harder. So I will do that video for you later. But anyway, let's get back to Olay. Olay, my favorite product is their Retinol 24. It's NAF safe. It's got niacinamide and it's hydrating, as its third ingredient here is glycerin. Plus it's got peptides. So this is literally my favorite product from Olay. However, I would say it would be even better if they'd put this into an airless pump, because don't forget that vitamin A retinol is very unstable and so will oxidize in oxygen. So this is the only downside with this particular product, but they got the formula right, so I'm happy with that. The next one is from Kylie Skin. So Kylie Skin, I'm generally not a huge fan of celebrity skincare. I'll tell you why. Generally, they obviously, I mean, they're not going to understand ingredients. They're not going to understand percentages. What they're going to understand is whatever their cosmetic formulator has told them. And all cosmetic formulators are different. They've all got different experiences. So I mean, that's basically what you're relying on. And then they have a huge fan base, and so they get to, you know, market their product, you know, widely, but without much in terms of how effective the product is. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of celebrity skincare. However, and so for example, if I just quickly go through Kylie Skincare, her face wash, for example, is not NAF safe. It's got fragrance in it. Her walnut scrub is too harsh for the skin and can lead to micro tears. And the eye cream is just a very expensive moisturizer, but in packaged small with very high margins. But she's got one product right, which I'm very happy about, and that's her vitamin C. So basically, she's used tetrahexyldecaascorbate, my favorite form of vitamin C, and she managed to get it into an airless pump. So she's managed to get something right that a lot of the big brands have gotten wrong. Vitamin C should never really be in a pipette. It should never be in a jar. It really should be in an airless pump if the primary goal is an antioxidant. Especially if you're working at higher percentages. So she got that right, and so I do actually like that product from the whole range. Moving on to the next brand, and a lot of you have asked me to review this, and it's Vichy. So I have looked and looked, and honestly I don't like any of the products on Vichy because they're not NAF safe except for one. So that's the reason I haven't done a Vichy review. There's no point wasting your time, but there is one product I like, and that's their hyaluronic acid. So this one is NAF safe. It's an excellent product. It's got great reviews, and I would recommend it. The next brand is also one that you guys have asked me to review many times, and this is Medik8, because they do a whole retinaldehyde series. And as you know, retinaldehyde is my favorite vitamin A, and I'm sure a lot of you are questioning why I haven't reviewed it. And it's because I don't like the brand's cost benefit. So whenever I review a product, I have a set of criteria. So one, I look at, is it NAF safe? Number two, are the ingredients in the therapeutic index? And number three, is the product is there a cost benefit analysis? Is it cost effective or not? Meaning, is it worth your money, or are they overcharging for something that really should not be at that price? And for me, as a consumer myself, I think that's a very important question to ask. Something could be effective, but you know, if you're spending £1,000 on something that should really be £20, that's a bit unfair. So one of the first products is their 0.01% retinaldehyde serum, which costs £39 for 30 mils. This is terrible pricing and terrible value for money, and I would never recommend that. Maybe if it was 0.1% retinaldehyde, but for their 0.1% retinaldehyde, they charge £71. If you knew the cost, you would be crying right now. It's just ridiculous. So that's why I wouldn't. Plus, it's not NAF safe anyway, and so I wouldn't have recommended it anyway. But they have one product in their range that I like. It's called Calmwise Color Correct. It's NAF safe. It's essentially a niacinamide moisturizer. But the one downside again with this is that it's £45 for 50 mils for a niacinamide moisturizer. So it's again not good value for money, but I like the product. It's one good product out of a whole Medik8 range, and I can't, you know, I didn't want to put too much negativity out into the world, and so I stopped doing brands where, you know, there's nothing for me to recommend, and that's the reason why I haven't done a Medicate brand review. What's the point of me going through every single product and telling you, you know, why I don't like it? But we managed to find one product that I liked from the brand, so there you go. Moving on to the next product, which is from Clinique. So usually I don't like Clinique because it's a lot of the products are not nail safe. There are actually two products I like from Clinique. One is their Redness Solutions Daily Relief Cream, and the other one is their Dramatically Different Moisturizing Lotion. Both are nail safe, which I love. And with the moisturizing lotion, it's not really a lotion because here the second ingredient is mineral oil, third ingredient is glycerin, and petrolatum is the fourth, which means it must be a fatty moisturizer, and it's nail safe, and I love it. So I love when I can find a couple of products that are great for skin of color in a brand, especially one that's so widely available. But again, I have done a video on Clinique and gone through the products, but majority of them are ones I wouldn't recommend. To learn more about products formulated specifically for skin of color, please do visit my website, Skincare by Dr. V. I've got a blog on there, and you can see my skincare routine too. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.